Kinnah Lamed Vav, Tzion Haloti Shali, is composed by one of the greatest paitanim, poets, in our history. Rav Yehuda Halevi, born in Toledo, Spain in 1080, had a very rich life. A doctor, a poet, a philosopher, and perhaps most notably, a Torah scholar, studying under the Rif, Rav Yitzchak Elfasi, and quoted in the Rashba as being one of the foremost poets. Perhaps his greatest achievement is composing the Kuzari, a philosophical work about the king of the Khuzar tribe, searching to uncover the true religion. He sits down with a Christian, a Muslim, and a Jew, asking philosophical questions and trying to determine which religion to bring into his tribe. Ultimately, he concludes that Judaism is the true religion. But in the process, there's a very painful moment in their theological discussions. The king of Khuzar asked the Jewish scholar, "During your prayers 3 times a day, you pray to return to Zion, and yet you're sitting here in exile, choosing to be more comfortable here than making the journey to Tzion, to Israel? It feels inconsistent." It's as if Rav Yehuda Halevi was expressing his own frustrations in his work. For his lifelong dream was to return home, to live in Israel. Rav Yehuda Halevi made the difficult decision to begin the hard journey to Israel. Despite the hardships, he was able to make the trek, and in 1145, according to most historians, he arrives in Israel. On his journey, he had written this Kinnah, Tzion Haloti Shali, pouring his heart out as he yearned to return home, begging Tzion to want him as badly as he wanted to be there, hoping for a day when the Kedusha, the holiness of the land, would encompass everybody and we would all be able to return home. He knew, he had an inkling that years later, in 1492, on Tisha B'Av itself, the Jews of Spain would be exiled into a new gullus. And he didn't want to wait. He wanted to return home when he could. Rav Yehuda Halevi arrived in Yerushalayim, fell to the ground, to the dust of the earth, pouring his heart out and crying tears of joy that he had reached his destination that he yearned for so deeply his entire life. And in that moment, was killed, was trampled by a horseman, and died in Israel right after his arrival. It's a very painful end to the life of somebody so great. But he felt completed that he was able to return home. How often do we channel what Rav Yehuda Halevi felt when he wrote the words, "Libi b'mizrach v'ani b'sof ha'ma'arav"? My heart is in the east, but I am all the way out in the west. I sit comfortably in my home in Gullus. I speak to myself. Do I yearn and cry to return home? When I watch a Nefesh B'Nefesh video, I say, wow, amazing, these people are sacrificing everything to return home, to go live in Israel. And yet I continue to sit here myself. Rav Yehuda Halevi is reminding us, on the day when we mourn all of the tragedies of the Jewish people throughout the generations, we can't remain in Gullus. We must find our way home. What will it take to get us there?